Okay, so this is the continuation of the first video. So again, if we are talking about transformation of functions, it is important for us to have a grasp of the basic graphs of our parent function. Okay, so let's review. So if we have here f of x is equal to x, the graph of that looks like this one. It is just a straight line passing through the origin. For quadratic function, your basic parabola x squared looks like this one. The vertex is also at the origin. For your square root function, this is this one, the blue graph. The x and y intercept is at the origin. The absolute value function, the letter v, the vertex is at the origin. The cubic function, x cubed, okay? So you have here a point of inflection at the origin. The rational function 1 over x. So the vertical asymptote is at the y-axis and the horizontal asymptote is at the x-axis. And the floor function given as follows. Okay? So let's talk about the next type of transformation, which is called reflection. Okay? So in line of reflection, recall that we have here a mirror line, or what you call the line of reflection. And here in this lesson, we are going to talk about two types of reflection only. So you have the reflection over the x-axis. This means that your mirror line is the x-axis itself. And the second one is the reflection over the y-axis, wherein your mirror line is the y-axis itself. Okay? So illustration based on this parent function. So again, the green one is your parent function, square root of x, and the graph of which is shown in your screens. And if we have here a negative of square root of x, then this one right here is the shape. And if the negative sign is inside of the square root symbol, then it will look like this one, the graph in blue. So as you can see in figure 1, there is a reflection over this axis. So reflection over the x-axis. So from the green one, nag-reflect tayo over the x-axis to obtain the red function. On the other hand, on figure 2, so there is a reflection about this y-axis. Okay, so from the original parent function, the green one, so nag-reflect tayo sa y-axis to get the blue one. Okay, so let's get the general rule for our reflections. Okay, so before that, another example. So this orange right here is your parent or original function. Okay, so if you want to reflect this over the x-axis, then magkakaroon tayo ng negative sign dito sa labas. And if we want to reflect the parent or original function about the y-axis, then ang paglalagyan natin ng negative sign ay doon sa loob. Okay? So to state that more specifically, our rule for reflection in the coordinate axis follows. So for reflection in the x-axis, so the negative sign is outside of the input, while for the reflection about the y-axis, the negative sign is inside of our input. Okay? So what happens to the domain and range of reflected functions? So for reflection over x-axis, take note that the domain is not affected. However, the range is changing. And for the reflection over the y-axis, domain is affected while the range is not affected. Okay, but take note, we have here asterisk, so indicating that not all functions are affected by the change of graph. Okay, so the domain may or may not be affected as well as the range. So item number 1, describe how the graph of G is obtained from the graph of F. So again, this is your original function and this is the transformed one. So titignan natin anong nangyaring type of reflection kung meron man. Okay? So for item A, so our original is x squared plus 2x plus 1. And this became x squared minus 2x plus 1. Okay? So, ang mapapansin natin, so if this is f of x, this becomes f of negative x. Okay? Kasi nag-flip ng sign lahat ng terms with the x variable which are raised to odd integers. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, from f of x, naging f of negative x. So, what type of reflection is this? So, this is reflection over the y-axis. Okay, so for item A, this is reflection over y-axis. For item B, okay, so we have here absolute value of x plus 3x plus 5. And G became negative absolute value of x minus 3x minus 5. So all terms changed sign. So meaning this is f of x, negative f of x. Okay? So this is reflection over the x-axis. Okay, another example. So the graph of f and g are given. Find a formula for the function g from the function of f. Simplify our answers. Note that the graph in black is the function of f and the graph in red is g. Okay? So, alam natin yung equation ng f na to. So, this is absolute of x plus 3. So, hinahanap natin what is g of x. Okay? So, ganun din sa item B. So, unahin na natin si item A. So, what can you say about f and g? So, based on this graph, we can say that g is f reflected over the x-axis. Okay, kasi ang mirror line natin dito ay itong ating x-axis. Okay, so using our rule kanina, okay, so if we have a reflection about the x-axis, then the negative sign ay placed before the function. Okay, so this means that g of x is the negative of the absolute x plus 3. So, ganyan natin siya isulat. And for item B, so again, this block function right here is f, and f is this equation right here. So, hinahanap natin yung equation ni G. Pero before that, let's identify what type of reflection is observed. And based on the given graph, we can say that the reflection is about the y-axis. Okay, very obvious naman siya. And the rule for that particular type of reflection, so lahat ng x papalitan natin ng negative x. Okay, so doing that, so my g of x would be negative x squared plus 4 times negative x plus 3. Okay, so we can simplify this further. the square of negative x is x squared. 4 times negative x is minus 4x, and then plus 3. Okay? So this is the equation for g of x in part B. Next item, write a formula for the function g that results when the graph of f of x is transformed as described. And without solving, what is the domain and range of g? Okay? So again, for letter A, the parent function is f of x, and it will be reflected across or about the x-axis. So ang magiging itsura ng g of x natin ay nasa labas yung ating negative sign. So negative square root of x plus 3. Okay? And for the second item, so this is your parent function still, but we want it to reflect that across the y-axis. So our f of x or g of x rather would be yung x gagawin nating negative x. So that is square root of negative x plus 3. Okay? So we are done with the first part of the problem. Now, what are we going to do to get the domain and range? So, pwede tayong mag-graph dito ng mabilisan lang, no? So, again, what we know is that this is the graph of square root of x. Okay? So, if meron tayong x plus 3, then ano yung ibig sabihin yan? So, based on our lesson in translation, meron tayong horizontal shifting. Okay? So, mag-shift tayo ng 3 units to the left. Okay? So, my graph will be this one. So, 1, 2, 3. So, ganyan. Ganyan. Okay? So, this blue right here is square root of x plus 3. So, if we reflect this about the x-axis, then ang magiging itsura niyan ay ganito. So, this is negative of x plus 3 square root. And if we reflect this about the y-axis, ang magiging itsura niyan ay ganito. So, 1, 2, 3. Ayan. So, this is square root of negative x plus 3. Okay? So, based on this graph, pwede na natin ma-determine ang domain and range ng bawat isa. Okay, so start na tayo dito sa negative of square root of negative x plus 3. So, the domain is from negative infinity up to 3. And range is from 0 to positive infinity. Okay, so for the green function, the domain is from negative 3 up to positive infinity. The range is from negative infinity to 0. Okay, kasi pababa siya. For the blue, sige, gawin na lang natin lahat. So for this one, the domain is from negative 3 to positive infinity, range from 0 to positive infinity. Okay, so that's how you do reflection. So on the next video, we are going to talk about dilation.